You wake up early. You check your phone. Messages, deadlines, news, notifications. Your day hasn't even started, and you already feel behind. You work hard. You try to build something. You want stability, maybe even success. And from the outside, everything looks fine. People might even say, "You're doing well." But deep inside, there's this quiet, uncomfortable feeling. Why does it still feel empty? Why, after everything you've achieved, does something still feel missing? Think about it. You keep moving, keep planning, keep chasing the next goal. You tell yourself, just a little more, then I'll finally feel at peace. But that moment never comes. And here's the uncomfortable question most people avoid. What if you're building a life that doesn't actually matter? What if all your effort, your stress, your sacrifices are leading you somewhere empty? Most people don't stop to ask this, because stopping feels dangerous. But there was a moment when Jesus told a story that exposed this exact trap. A story about a man who had everything and lost everything that truly mattered. And here's the part most people don't see. This story isn't about him. It's about us. Parable, the rich fool, Luke 12:16-21. There was a rich man whose land produced an abundant harvest. Season after season, his fields yielded more than he expected. The grain kept coming, more than his barns could hold, more than he had ever planned for. And he began to think to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." He walked through his land, looking at everything he had gathered. The weight of his success pressed on his mind, not as a burden, but as a problem to solve. Then he said, "This is what I will do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods." In his thoughts, everything was clear. Everything was under control. The future seemed secure, planned, calculated, safe. And he continued speaking to himself, "You have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." The plan was simple. More space, more security, more time to enjoy everything he had built. Everything he worked for was finally paying off. But that very night, something unexpected happened. God said to him, "You fool! This very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" And just like that, everything stopped. The fields remained, the barns stood, the grain was still there. But the man was gone. Jesus shows that a life focused only on earthly gain, without being rich toward God, is ultimately empty and fragile. 1. The man was already rich, yet he wanted more. In the parable, Jesus describes a man who already had abundance, yet his focus remained on increasing it. Jesus is not speaking to the poor, but to those who already have enough, warning them about the danger of misplaced priorities. The issue was not his wealth, but his heart. In life today, this looks like never feeling satisfied. A person achieves something, but instead of gratitude, they immediately look for the next goal. There is always more to chase. Most people don't realize this. The problem is not lack, but the inability to feel that what you have is enough. 2. What shall I do? A question without God. Jesus shows that the man begins to plan his future, but there is no mention of God in his thinking. His question is entirely self-centered. It's not, "What should I do with what I was given?" but, "What do I want to do?" Today, this is extremely common. People plan their careers, finances, and lives based only on personal goals. Decisions are driven by comfort, success, or fear, not by any higher purpose. And here's the subtle part. It feels normal. But Jesus highlights that a life planned without God can still look successful. and yet be deeply misguided. 3. I will tear down and build bigger. The illusion of control, Augustus emphasizes how confident the man is in his plan. He believes he can secure his future by building bigger barns. This reflects a deeper spiritual issue, the belief that life can be controlled and guaranteed through human effort. In modern life, people do the same through savings, investments, careers, and long-term plans. None of these are wrong, but the illusion is thinking they provide ultimate security. Psychologically, this creates a false sense of control. People feel safe until something unexpected happens. And when it does, everything they trusted begins to shake. 4. My crops, my barns, my goods. Ownership illusion. In the parable, Jesus highlights how the man repeatedly speaks in terms of possession. My crops, my barns, my goods. Jesus is exposing a deeper spiritual blindness. The man sees everything as his, forgetting that all he has ultimately comes from God. In life today, people strongly attach their identity to what they own: money, achievements, status. It creates a sense of control and pride. But psychologically, this also creates fear, because what you own can be lost. Most people don't see it. The stronger the attachment, the deeper the anxiety behind it. 5. You have many years. False certainty about time. Jesus shows the man confidently speaking about the future as if it is guaranteed. You have plenty of years. But this is exactly what Jesus is challenging. The man assumes time is his, that he can enjoy life later. Today, people live the same way. They postpone what truly matters: relationships, faith, inner life, thinking there will always be more time. Psychologically, this creates a dangerous delay. People live as if life is endless, but act surprised when time suddenly runs out. And here's the truth most avoid. We plan decades ahead, without control over tomorrow. 6. Eat, drink, and be merry. Reducing life to pleasure. Jesus shows the man's final goal: comfort and enjoyment. After all his work, his vision of life is simple: relax and enjoy what he has accumulated. Jesus is not condemning joy, but revealing how shallow the man's purpose really is. In modern life, this is everywhere. People work hard not for meaning, but for escape, comfort, entertainment, distraction. The deeper question is never asked: is this all life is? Psychologically, this leads to emptiness, because pleasure can satisfy for a moment, but it cannot fulfill a person long term. 7. You fool, God's perspective versus human perspective. In the climax, Jesus reveals God's response: you fool. This is shocking because, from a human point of view, the man was successful, wise, and strategic. But Jesus shows that God sees differently. True wisdom is not measured by accumulation, but by alignment with what truly matters. Today, people often admire the same things: success, wealth, independence. But this creates a dangerous gap between how people evaluate life and how God sees it. Psychologically, it means a person can feel confident and successful, while being completely wrong about what actually matters. 8. This very night your life will be demanded. The fragility of life. Jesus brings the story to its turning point by showing how suddenly life can end. The man planned for years ahead, but his life was required that very night. Jesus is teaching that human life is fragile and not under our control, no matter how secure it may seem. In modern life, people avoid thinking about this. They live as if life is stable and predictable. But reality can change in a moment: illness, loss, unexpected events. Psychologically, people build their lives on assumptions of stability. And when those assumptions break, everything collapses. Most people don't prepare internally for what they cannot control. 9. Then who will get what you prepared? The temporary nature of possessions. Jesus asks a powerful question. What happens to everything the man stored? The implication is clear. Everything he worked for stays behind. Jesus is revealing that material accumulation has no lasting ownership beyond this life. Today, people invest their energy into things they cannot keep. Careers, wealth, achievements all remain when life ends. Psychologically, this creates a hidden emptiness. People sense, deep down, that what they are building is temporary, but they keep going anyway because it feels meaningful in the moment. And yet, it doesn't answer the deeper question of permanence. 10. The man prepared everything, except his soul. Jesus does not say the man was lazy. In fact, he was active, strategic, and productive. But Jesus exposes what he ignored, his relationship with God. The man prepared his storage, but not his soul. In life today, people are often highly prepared externally. Education, finances, plans, but internally, they are empty or disconnected. There is little attention to spiritual life, inner growth, or relationship with God. Psychologically, this creates imbalance. A person may look stable on the outside, but feel lost on the inside, without understanding why. 11. Rich toward God. A different definition of wealth. At the end of the parable, Jesus contrasts two types of richness, being rich for oneself and being rich toward God. Jesus is teaching that true value is not measured by what you store, but by your relationship with God and what reflects His priorities. In modern life, success is defined by visible results, money, influence, status. But Jesus introduces a completely different standard. Psychologically, this challenges everything people are used to. It forces a deeper question. What kind of life actually has meaning beyond what can be seen? Most people never stop long enough to ask this, and that is exactly where the problem begins. You can build, you can achieve, you can fill your life with plans, goals, and success. And from the outside, it may look like everything is right. But Jesus tells this story to quietly confront something deeper. A person can gain everything they aimed for and still lose what truly matters. Think about it. The man in the story wasn't evil. He wasn't careless. He did what most people are trying to do, build a secure life. And yet, in one moment, it was all gone. Not because he failed, but because he focused on the wrong thing. And here's where it becomes personal. What are you building right now? Is it something that will last, or something that will stay behind? Most people never stop to ask this. They keep moving, keep chasing, keep accumulating. But Jesus slows everything down with one truth. A life centered only on yourself will never be enough. And here's the thought that stays. Don't spend your life building something you cannot keep while ignoring what you were created for.